The scene yesterday afternoon in Los Angeles. Within hours of the news of Kobe's tragic death, fans began to gather outside the Staples Center. Countless current and former NBA players feeling just as lost as the fans. Here's Dwayne Wade.
Today is one of the saddest days in my lifetime. It seems like a bad dream that you just want to wake up from. It's a nightmare. I know we all feel the same way about such a great leader, just a great champion, just a great person. If you got a chance to know Kobe, you got a chance to really know Kobe. There ain't nobody better, man. Emotions are all over the place. These are the moments when you ask why. My heart, thoughts goes out to Kobe's family, his daughter Gigi. This is a sad day. There's no way around it. My family and I have been sharing Kobe stories. We have so many moments that he's given us. We're so thankful for those moments. I'm thankful for those moments, man. This was one of my favorite players. And I got a chance to have a relationship, a friendship. But I would miss him. I would miss the friendship. I said it many times. When Kobe retired from the game of basketball, it left a hole in my wanting to play. Because when I came in the league, I chased him. That's who I chased. I wanted to be respected by him. And once I reached that level, I knew I did something. So, Kobe, thank you, man. Thank you for all the memories. We got a lot of good ones. And these tears that we're crying, we're going to miss you. And it's not going to go. It's not leaving today. A week from now, a month from now, a year from now, we will forever miss you, man. You're our legend. You're our icon. You're our father. You're a husband. Your son, your brother, your friend. Thank you for being my friend. I love you, brother.
Oh, the raw emotion from everybody that Kobe has touched along the way. If we didn't already know, yesterday showed us just how much Kobe meant to an entire generation of former and current players. Nick, what does all of this reaction tell you about Kobe's legacy, not just to the Lakers, but just to the world?
Yeah, this is something Broussard talks about a lot, is if you talk to current players, they, almost to a man, who's the guy you looked up to? Kobe. Who's the guys from his era? Who's the toughest to guard? Kobe. Who's the, and you can speak on this better than I can, but like, we all know he's one of the 8 greatest players in NBA history. He's one of the 3 greatest guards ever. He is arguably the icon of the greatest franchise in NBA history, and some people would say sports history. Certainly the last 50 years, nobody's had more success in sports than the Los Angeles Lakers. But, and I could, and at some point today, I will go down the list of things he did from year 4 to year 17 to culminating in that, the 60-point final game of his career, which is just, you wouldn't believe it. If it was in a sports movie, you wouldn't believe it. You'd say rewrite the ending. It's not, it's too unbelievable. But what do people say, Broussard, when they're in an office and they're shooting a piece of paper into a trash can? Kobe.
Yep.
And he truly transcended in a way that certain athletes, even if you think they're higher on the all-time athlete list, that they never could dream of transcending.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned current players and current players and former players. You know, a lot of times we have the GOAT conversation. Yep. And without fail, whenever I'm talking to players of either they're playing today or they were playing in the past, they say, Kobe's got to be in that discussion. Why aren't more people talking about Kobe? I mean, that's how great he was. You mentioned, you know, the 60 points in his last game, which was so Kobe Bryant, to go out with a 60-point game. The 81 points. For our generation, that was like Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. And it may be the, you know, in Wilt Chamberlain's day, and you look back at that game, and, you know, it became a concerted effort by his team to get him the basketball so he could score the 100 points. Kobe's 81 came in the competitive game. They were down 14 points, I believe, in the first half. Yep. And he had to score to get them to win the game. He scored 55 in the second half. So as a basketball player, his legacy is as big as anyone's, as great as anyone's. But the thing about Kobe is that like so many athletes defy the stereotype of what we think a jock is. So many of them. And particularly, you know, even an African-American jock. Kobe defied those stereotypes more than anyone. He spoke 5 languages. He wasn't from the hood. You know, a lot of people think his mentality, the killer instinct, that you gotta be from a really rough and tough upbringing to have that type of mentality. Kobe's dad played professional basketball. Kobe grew up in Italy to some degree, and yet he had as tough and as hard-nosed of a mentality as anybody, as any athlete we've ever seen. And I think his legacy, as great as it is physically on the court, it is as much mental. Because the reason so many athletes say Kobe is in that GOAT conversation is because of that killer instinct. And his ability to focus on whatever the task is was just incredible. And we saw it in his post-career, too. Now I'm done with basketball. I'm focused on my media company. I'm focused on, you know, my books and my movies and all the things he was doing. So mentally, he's one of the strongest athletes that we have ever seen.
After this happened yesterday, I went back to the hotel room and I just put on the TV. It didn't matter what channel you flipped on, this is what they were talking about. And it seemed like, Nick, player after player, coach after coach, talked about just that, his work ethic. A guy who's so gifted and so talented would still be the first one at the gym. There were players talking about how they would come to play the Lakers, and he'd be out there before the game practicing, building up a sweat, then go back and change and come out and play the game. And you wonder how someone who was so talented at their craft would want to spend yet so much more time at their craft, which is what you're talking about, how he became so successful after basketball.
Well, that's the thing. Listen, by regular human being standards, Kobe Bryant was a freak show athlete. By NBA standards, he was not. He's a great leaper, very fast, but he wasn't overly tall. He was not physically dominant. And the reason you cannot be physically dominant, and you're on the list that I was talking about, is just like Michael Jordan, who had almost the exact same body specs, just said, nah, man, I am scared of no one. I am scared of no situation, and I will work harder than you. What you think is hard work, I think it's the first workout of the day. And that is how you get to this level of greatness. That is how in year 17, you are playing your 78th out of 80 possible games in a season. You're averaging 27 points per game, trying to drag a team that was well past its era into the postseason and have your Achilles pop on you and still get up and shoot those free throws.
Right.
There are so many moments in Kobe's career that if he were a fictitious character, you would think, well, that's the penultimate scene of the movie. But he had like 5 of them. Right. You mentioned the 81-point game. He scored 62 a few weeks earlier in 3 quarters, was asked why you didn't stay in to try to go for 80, and he said, I'll get it another time, and he did. He hit those free throws with the popped Achilles. For his 5th championship, which was such an important moment for him because this was before he was to a different phase in his life, and Shaq had 4, he had 4, and he wanted that 5th. They're down 3-2 in the finals. They win Game 6. Game 7, he just doesn't have his shot. So what does he do? He gets 15 rebounds and plays great defense. And then my final night, my final day, like we talk about Babe Ruth calling his shot, but in a fashion similar to Derek Jeter hitting a home run for his 3,000th hit or the walk-off. He said, my final game, 60? In a season, he hadn't scored 40 yet. It was year 20. Those things...
And they won, of course.
And of course.
As an aside.
And those things don't happen in real life. And then, by the way, 2 years after I graduate, 2 years after I retire, I'll win an Oscar.
Right.
And that's why his level of iconicism, if that's the word, is going to be hard to be matched by any current NBA player, no matter the levels on the court they achieve, because he did it in a way and with a flair that we haven't seen since or really prior.
All right, all morning long, we are sharing reaction to this. This was from Michael Jordan. I am in shock over the tragic news of Kobe's and Gianna's passing. Words cannot describe the pain I'm feeling. I loved Kobe. He was like a little brother to me. We used to talk often, and I will miss those conversations very much. He was a fierce competitor, one of the greats of the game, and a creative force. Kobe was also an amazing dad who loved his family deeply and took great pride in his daughter's love for the game of basketball. Yvette joins me in sending my deepest condolences to Vanessa, the Lakers organization, and basketball fans around the world.